I want to talk to you about something I call fear of friendlessness. And I'm going to suggest to you that this is actually a fear that's probably playing a larger part in your life than you realize. You may not have been consciously aware of this. The more I've become aware of it, the more I've seen just how this plays out and how it doesn't serve me, how it doesn't serve the friends I love, how it doesn't serve anyone. Fear of friendlessness. Let me tell you a little story about how I came to be aware of this fear. For the last several weeks, I've been on a challenge that I set for myself to have 10 less emails in my inbox each night than I did the night before. So I started with 750, then a certain amount come in each day. It's quite a bit these days. It's maybe 100 emails. And so I have to process at least 100 or however many come in that day, plus 10 more, so that I'm constantly reducing, and I'm down to just under 200 now. And I'm finding this to be an incredibly difficult task. Now let me get this clear. These aren't spam emails, these aren't newsletters. These are emails from either friends or acquaintances. People I've had contact with, people that I like, people that I'm fond of, I have high regard for, I'd like to keep in my social network. And so what's happening is there's an enormous amount of communication coming my way, and I feel compelled to respond to pretty much every communication that comes my way. And you probably have a similar situation where you have texts and phone calls and emails and IMs, and maybe you don't get much snail mail these days, but all kinds of different communication coming your way, and you feel compelled to respond to it. And what I submit to you is that we're actually in a different era around this than humanity has ever experienced. So we evolved in these small bands of people from roughly 12 to 50 people on the savannas, hunter and gathering tribes. And there, the amount of communication that was coming to us was somewhat balanced. There was a certain amount of communication that would come in via conversations and spending time with people in these tribes. But what has happened is the ways that we can keep in touch with people have proliferated enormously. And obviously this has been going on for a while with telegraph and then telephone and then letters and mail and all these different kind of things, faxes. But with the digital age, it's really gone up the J curve. The exponential growth has exploded of the amount of people we can communicate with, the Facebook friends, the Twitter friends, the person you went to 8th grade with who looks you up on Facebook, and you probably wouldn't ever have spoken to that person again in your life maybe 20 or 30 years ago before the internet and before Facebook. But now everyone that you've ever had been in touch with ever, you're now in touch with. And being human, we all send each other emails and status updates and check-ins. So there's this enormous amount of communication coming in, which is more than any human being can handle. And I'm not just saying me, I'm saying all of us have this issue, but I'm experiencing it very acutely in my life. So fear of friendlessness, I notice that more and more of my life has been devoted to just communicating with people. And I'm not complaining. These are great people. I care about them. I feel affection. We're not just wasting time. We're actually talking about things that are important to their lives and they're important to my life. But what happens is I notice a visceral fear at the thought of not communicating, at the thought of a communication coming my way and me not responding to it. And that's a problem if you have that fear and you have this mushroom cloud, this huge proliferation of communication coming your way from all the internet and the social and the Facebook and the Twitter and the this and that. So I have started to notice that this fear has taken more and more a part of my life. And so that more and more of my time is spent responding to communications. And this is something that I want to change. Not because I want to stop communicating with my friends. Of course I don't. I love my friends. I want to stay in touch with them. But is this non-stop communication really serving them? Is it really serving me? Is it really serving our friendship? You know, people had friendships before text messages back and forth every 2 seconds all day long. People had friendships before you could be on the phone all day long, before you could just send massive amounts of status updates and posts and shares and this and that. People had friendships, so obviously friendship had to exist before all of this came online. And yet our psychology hasn't shifted, and we feel afraid that if we don't respond to all these communications, we're going to be rejected. And so I've actually been exploring in my own meditation practice, getting really deep in touch with just what this root fear is. Because I think it stems very, very deep on an elemental, almost cellular level. We have this visceral cellular fear of not responding to people. And I think that arose from evolution, right? In the situation in which we evolved, if you were rejected, if people stopped wanting to connect with you, that literally meant death. We are a highly, highly social species, and the reason we're so social is that we grew up in these savannas, these hunter-gathering tribes, we had to collaborate. We had to be together against the saber-toothed tigers and all the different kinds of dangers that were there. So we are a very social species. We evolved with this general expectation that when someone communicates with you, that you should communicate back with them. But that evolution has hit headlong, like a crash, into this new reality of virtually endless incoming communication. Again, I'm not the only one. I'm not trying to set myself up here as some kind of special person. Everyone I know is dealing with this issue. I'm sure you're dealing with it. And so I don't think that handling email more efficiently, getting better systems and better folders and better this and that, and getting things done and all those tips and tricks of how to deal with communication is actually going to help that much. Maybe they can be a band-aid on the problem, but the root problem is the combination of our fear of friendlessness with the extreme proliferation of the amount of communication that is coming with us. The two just don't mesh, and they lead us all to be crazy. I don't know anyone who's not crazy around the amount of email they get and the amount of communication they get. And I'm not, again, trying to put myself above anyone talking about this. It's just a reality that we're all facing right now. So what I want you to consider is, when you get that email and you're deciding whether you want to get some sleep or you want to respond to some more emails, or you want to go and have a really nice dinner, uninterrupted dinner with someone you love, or you want to respond to more emails, or you want to go and get some exercise and you haven't had exercise in a few days, but you have all these Facebook updates to check and things to keep up on. Consider that your instinct to go for that communication is actually stemming from a fear of friendlessness that is actually not all that rational, right? People are going to still love you even if you're not on the phone all day long with them, or on email or text or Twitter all day long with them. People are still going to love you. And how do I know that? Because people loved each other before phone and text and email and Twitter existed. In fact, most of human existence, we've been loving each other without all these massive amounts of communication coming our way. So be aware of that fear of friendlessness that permeates throughout your existence and that may be leading you to be spending more time on email, more time on digital communication than you may want to be. You may want to focus some of that time on other things like face-to-face time with people you love, or creativity, or dance, or getting out and hiking, or doing all these kind of things that aren't communicating digitally. So there's your thought for the day. Let me know what you think. If you've liked this video, please press like down below. See right there, there's my fear of friendlessness. I'm afraid that people won't like this video. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.